What's up, Kyuzou here, and it's time for another very late build diary. I meant to do this one back in 3.6, back in Synthesis, but health issues on top of a lot of things, and me eventually forgetting about it and all that, and well, here we are. So, because this is a diary, I am going to bore you to death with a long-ass story. In 3.6, they added a new skill gem called Bane. It looked really strong, so I wanted to have a go at it. I couldn't quite decide between Trickster or Occultist, but eventually I went with the latter simply because Bane is a skill scaled with curses, and as Occultist you can very easily get Tri-Curse. On top of that, Occultist also has a lot of curse effectiveness, and whenever I have the chance to stack curse effectiveness, I like to abuse the temporal chains. So in the end, for what I wanted to do specifically, Occultist was the obvious choice. The build was great, however once I hit red maps, damage started to suck hard, but the killer for me was the fact that whenever I clicked Bane over a pack, I subconsciously expected the damage over time to spread to nearby packs, so mechanically the skill just wasn't all there for me. So I decided to try out Essence Drain again instead, a skill I hadn't touched since Brandis back in 2.2. Where I kind of want to say famously died at 99.5 in the very first solo self-found hardcore race. A lot has changed with the game since then, and also with Essence Drain Contagion. Along with Bane, they also added more support gems, stuff like Intensify, which makes Contagion's AoE absolutely insane. Essence Drain Contagion could not have been more satisfying to play. Except, of course, while the clear was really satisfying and single target was not, I decided to reroll Trickster. And I decided to base my build around what Waggle was doing, and in the end I couldn't have been more satisfied. On top of higher damage output, my mobility skyrocketed, and my survivability. This guy could face tank just about all the content with a lot of evasion, dodge and spell dodge, and if you did get hit, you'd regen it right back up because of the Trickster Ascendancy, and not to mention the percent life, energy shield, and mana on kill, or regen maps as long as something dies. And because we're not dealing elemental or physical damage, we can also run reflect maps. Delving was extremely satisfying. If you were lucky with the pack size, all you had to do was one set of Essence Drain Contagion and just run to the end, as if you were running Righteous Fire or something. I ended up messing around a lot with the single target setup, and I ended up with Blight cast while channeling Soul Rend, which felt the best. It was somewhat impossible to compare in passive building with, so I simply had to run my own simulations. But in the end, because of Soul Rend's reach and piercing ability, it was superior to range width when needed. Today, however, Soul Rend has received a lot of nerfs, and I feel it's no longer the better setup over a normal Blight setup. Also, with the massive life buffs everywhere on every boss, a 6-link and power and plus gem levels have become insanely important to even deal any single target now. Alright, let's have a look at the gear then. So this is my actual Synthesis character. It's named Kyuzou Matilda, because before I respec this guy to Essence Drain Contagion, I was trying out a Massel EK build. So yeah, that's why Matilda. I don't know why I need to explain that. So for our weapon, we're looking for a wand, not quite like this, but the chaos damage over time multiplier is the most important one. The wand I currently have, you cannot do anymore because they changed the multi-mod. You can only have 3 now, including the multi-mod. So for a wand like this, you would drop the, I don't actually know why I have the mana regen, maybe I needed it, but you would drop the chaos damage at the bottom, and obviously the mana regen, and you would do the chaos damage, skill effect duration, along with increased damage over time. You could also have something similar to this with spell damage, chaos damage over time, added elemental to spells. Although I suppose a perfect one, like top tier, I suppose you would want like chaos damage over time along with +1 to chaos skills and +1 to all spell skill gems, but that is going to be insanely hard to get. For a helmet, we want as much energy shield as we can, preferably at least 1 resist. Me personally, I just absolutely love temporal change, so I have the enchant, and I have some curse effectiveness on the tree, etc. And the less obvious reason you want as much energy shield as possible is because of a escape artist, which gives us 5 evasion rating per 1 energy shield on our helmet. And for our shield, we want as much energy shield as possible. Some spell damage if we can, resist, or something a little bit more ultimate would be +1 to all chaos skill gems. So if we compare Tooltip between +1 and 70 spell damage, I'm gonna have to hide my webcam a little bit quickly for this. So with our current shield, as you can see now, we're at 288k, and with a +1, we shoot up to 296. So a +1 beats out 70% spell damage. Rings, resist, life, energy shield. You want them dexed wherever you can, because we actually need close to 200 dexterity. I think like 180 dexterity plus the 10% should land us at 197, 198. Spell damage if you can. I think you can even get damage over time or chaos damage over time on amulets now. I'm not really sure what base that has to be on, what influence that has to be on. We can even get +1 intelligence gems, which I do believe is Hunter. And as for our chest, we want the perfect form, which is an upgrade from the Snowblind Grace by using a Blessing of Tool, which obviously means this drops from the Breach Boss tool. So what makes this chest piece so good is the fact that it has a decent amount of evasion, and some of that evasion gets added as energy shield with Escape Artist. We also get to use Arctic Armor for free, which means we take less fire and physical damage while stationary. We also get additional evasion by stacking Cold Res, and we get Face Acro for free without the penalty of acrobatics. So as you can see, if we were to travel there naturally, we would, what do we lose? We lose 30% energy shield, and we lose 30% less chance to block. So the main problem with this chest piece is that it is pure evasion. So, and we also need 4 off colors. We need 3 blue and 1 red. So either you have to do the crafting bench jeweler method until you have the 4 off, and then you would have a pretty high chance of hitting the last 2 as greens. Or we try and get Verici in research, preferably tier 3, because that gives us a chance of 3 white sockets. And we would then do at least 1 blue on the crafting bench until we get something like 2 blue, 1 red, and then pray that we get that at least 1 white socket on the exact right slot. For gloves, as much energy shield as you can. I would prefer the base to be fingerless, honestly. Fingerless can very easily get up to like 170, 180 energy shield. And on top of that, we get spell damage implicit. Belt, we obviously want a crystal belt. As for boots, we want a serious step. I do believe they are the absolute best in slot. We get a shit ton of evasion, we get some life, we get 30% movement speed, we get 16% chance to dodge spells. We could also get an enchant. As for enchants, you can go, I don't know, if you have a lot of options, I guess. You can have increased movement speed, attack and cast speed if you've killed recently, or chance to dodge spell damage if you've taken spell damage recently. It's really up to you what you want on your boot there. As for my gem setup, we have a portal over here, we have discipline, obviously. We got Arctic Armor, obviously. Okay, I have my mobility here with shield charge, 45, flame dash, and faster attacks. I got my single target over here with blight, infused channeling, control destruction, and efficacy. We have Contagion, along with increased area of effect, Arcane Surge, and Intensify, because we use Contagion like all the time. That means we have Arcane Surge up more or less permanently. You do also want to make sure you don't level Arcane Surge past what your mana cost is, obviously. The main setup here, we got Essence Drain with Void Manipulation, Swift Affliction, Control Destruction, Efficacy, and Empower. So as you notice here, I have a lot of Awakened Gems here. Most of them are 4, I had like 1 at 5. At level 4, they add roughly like 40k Tooltip over 2020s, normal 2020s. And in my shield, we have Blasphemy, Temp Chains, along with Malevolence. Now, I'm not running Temp Chains along with Malevolence. Normally when I'm mapping, I just run Temp Chains. But if I'm doing a Guardian boss, Uber Elder, Shaper, you name it, Temp Chains is not going to do a whole lot, so that's when I swap to Malevolence. I also swap to Malevolence whenever I run a map that has monster's action speed cannot be modified to below base value, because that completely eliminates temporal chains. So, oh wait, I should probably have done this. So, Tooltip, like I said, with my current gear, 288k, and pop Malevolence, we go up to 345. That is quite a lot of damage, but while mapping, we don't actually need all that damage. I also realized that my my webcam's probably blocking the damage numbers, but whatever. As for Flask, we got a Quartz with Dispel Freeze. We got Witchfire Brew. This is my second curse. I'm running Temp Chains and Despair, and I'm using Despair through Witchfire Brew. So sadly, I don't have Despair up most of the times on bosses, but most of the times when I'm mapping. Also got a Quicksilver movement speed, a Jade with bleed remove, and a Silver for Onslaught that removes curses. As for Pantheon, I went with Soul of Arakali, mostly because I don't really have a whole lot of Chaos res, and I'm hybrid, so the Chaos damage is still gonna bypass my energy shield. A second good option, I do believe, would be Lunaris instead, because you get more dodge. We also get to avoid projectiles. My second one is Shakari for poison immunity, again, because I'm not CI. Alright, let's jump over to the passive tree here. So I went for... Do I really have to move this up a little bit, maybe? Okay, so we went for Patient Reaper. Gives us a lot of damage over time. It gives us life, energy, shield, and mana on kill. We have Prolonged Pain, which gives us 20% more damage over time. Basically, an added support gem. We then have Ghost Dance, which gives us additional chance to evade while I have energy shield. It also gives us Ghost Shrouds, up to 3. And whenever I'm hit, I lose 1 Ghost Shroud, and I recover energy shield equal to 4% of my evasion rating. We also get some free movement speed. And Escape Artist, like I said earlier, we get evasion per energy shield on our helmet. We also get energy shield per evasion on our body armor. We also get 18% attack and cast speed per Ghost Shroud. But the most important part here is we cannot be stunned while we have Ghost Shrouds. And we more or less always gonna have Ghost Shrouds up. And we also have additional chance to dodge spell hits if we have energy shield. And for this reason, plus 1 more, is why I've decided to focus more on energy shield than life on my tree and gear. Because while I first played the build, I realized that I never really lost all my energy shield. I never really got chunked for like all my energy shield plus half my life. That like never happened. So because of that, I decided to stack more energy shield instead, because it felt more important to have energy shield because of the extra dodge and all of that stuff. You do, however, obviously you want some form of buffer of your actual life so that you don't get one shot by chaos clouds and etc. So we got some chaos damage over here. We got energy shield evasion. We got damage over time. We got more damage over time up here. We got the chaos nodes, obviously, and we have Hexmaster for a stronger temp chains. Down here we have Spreading Rot. for Blight. Yeah, we got some life. We got Arcane Will, Arcane Focus, some AoE. We got more damage over time over here. We got the dual curse over here. And we then go down to Templar for some more life. Energy Shield. This node, this little wheel here is actually stupidly important for the regen. Because without this, I can't seem to like actually spam my Blight. You see now, like my mana is like, it's staying there. But if I remove these 3 nodes, eventually it is actually going to run out. So we do want to stack some form of mana regen. So a couple things to note here is Arcane Swiftness. I grabbed these very, very late. So currently this character to 99. I do not have... oh, whoops, I zoomed in instead. I do not have the +2 points from Deal with the Bandits, because this guy was... It used to be a different build, a crit build, so I went, so I helped Ellir instead, and I kind of forgot about it, that I never really had these, I never got them back. So I suppose technically we are 97 instead of 99 here. So yeah, so I grabbed Arcane Swiftness like way, way late. Blast Radius is what I grabbed absolute last, because we don't actually need that much AoE. And then I grabbed Unnatural Calm, kind of that. So like the order I would grab these was Unnatural Calm, then Arcane Swiftness, and then the AoE. If you'd like, you can probably drop, like if you truly want more AoE, you could drop maybe some life notes somewhere. Or maybe you could drop some Energy Shield if you want to, and that way you can get even more AoE if you feel like doing that. As for Anointment, I don't really know. Like last time during Metamorph, I grabbed Potency of Will for more skill effect duration. Your other options would be Tranquility, which gives you, which transform your Energy Shield nodes into spell damage at, I think, was it 3% per value or 0.3%? I can't remember, but I don't know if we're actually picking up that much Energy Shield to make that worth it. Maybe we do. I don't know. We could go for Soul Thief, I suppose, which gives us more evasion and more Energy Shield. Another one, I suppose, could be Survivalist for more evasion. We get some all rest, we get +1 to cold, we get more chance to evade attacks. As for Joules, what you're looking for is chaos damage over time multiplier, and then kind of whatever, spell damage while holding a shield, spell damage, chaos damage, projectile damage, area damage. I guess that's it. I guess that's like it for damage. If you need, I suppose the third one could be a stat or life or energy shield, but I feel it's felt very important to stack triple damage on my Joules. Suppose you could even anoint Foresight, actually, come to think of it. I mean, there's just so many things you could anoint. I just can't think of anything that's like, this is the one that you need to do or want to do. So thus far, I have played this build, I have played this exact build 3 times in a row. I skipped Blight completely when it came out, because World of Warcraft Classic. And for Delirium, I will once again play Essence Drain Contagion. However, this time I will be doing Cisaran's version, which, well, I mean, I guess technically it's Dan's version. Where I will play a CI block, Jesus, where I will play a CI block version. So the build I just showed you is insanely tanky, but potentially I fail to see how I would ever die on a block version. Hopefully I will get around to make a video about that one as well, but for now you can catch me on Twitch on League Launch if you want to see me progress with the CI version of the build. And hopefully I won't forget to make a POB for this guy, Because a lot of you guys, even though I just showed you fucking everything, you still want a POB. Alright, that's it for me, and I'll see you on Delirium. Thank you and good night.